Hello everyone, welcome back. We are now in Season 10 of The Division 2 and we are all very familiar with how the seasonal model works at this stage. Manhunt Target, followed by a league, a parallel event or a global event over a certain number of weeks before the next Manhunt Target, until we finally get the prime target at the end of the season. This model has been in place for a number of years now, and I question whether the seasons are working in The Division 2 anymore. Drop a like and subscribe to stay up to date with all my videos, and let's talk about seasons. So to begin with, let me make this clear. I personally enjoy seasons, whether that be in The Division 2 or in any other live service game, so long as they are done correctly. Destiny 2 is a good example of a live service game that generally speaking does seasons very, very well. Now, some of you might be arguing that they've never worked in The Division 2, and that's completely fine, but I personally have enjoyed them. With the next Manhunt Target going live yesterday, it really got me thinking about whether something needs to change with seasons, as right now I log in for the next Manhunt Target, run the mission, and then pretty much log out, and that's only really because I'm interested in the story. Now, that's not me saying I don't think the changes made to Manhunt for this year's seasons are good changes, because I do. But how many times can you run Grand Washington Hotel, even with some slight tweaks here and there, before it's just brainless gameplay? I do enjoy getting the lore out of these missions and seeing where the story is leading, but I've played all of these locations and missions 1,000 times. It's almost like muscle memory now. I honestly think that I could run through some missions in this game completely blind. And I think when you realise that, you know that the game really needs a refresh. For me, the Manhunt changes were a good addition to the game and spiced it up a little bit, but we really need to see some significant changes to the Manhunt targets so they are much more engaging. I know the team working on Division 2 is a small team, although it is getting bigger and bigger by the week, as confirmed recently by Paddy Hofstein. But if you just take some of the in-game assets, for example, when was the last time anyone went into Kenley College? Wouldn't it be a good idea to house a Manhunt Target there? What about classified missions? I've advocated for these to be used or to be made free for everyone, because they're a good asset in the game. They've got some incredible sets in there. There's some really detailed missions, and they're just not being used at the moment. They're kind of just wasted, and I really feel like they'd be a good space for Manhunt Targets. There are many places in the game that most players have probably not been to for a long while, and I think Massive need to utilise these. Off script, and me just thinking about this now, wouldn't it be great if they had a Manhunt Target in one of the Dark Zones? I think that would be a cool idea. For that particular instance, there's no PvP, it's just PvE, but you have to go in the Dark Zone to find that target. That's an in-game asset, and I just think that's something that could be utilised. Let's be honest, it's highly unlikely a new location is on the horizon, even for Year 5. To be honest, the Manhunt targets and the locations are probably the least of my concerns with seasons right now, but I felt that I needed to mention them because I think there's some stuff that the devs can do with what they have in the game already. My biggest gripe comes with actually all the other stuff as part of seasons. Leagues, for me, they are a poor event, if you can even call it that. It's just a monotonous set of challenges, like, you know, get these many kills or take down these many named enemies, etc. I've never been a big fan of leagues, to be honest, and I really think we need just a new activity here. I think they just need to be removed altogether. At the very least, I think the rewards for completing leagues needs to be a lot more than just some backpack trophy. If they had new masks for each league, for example, I know that I do them more often. I would definitely do them because, you know, masks are really cool. They're part of that real, they're really out there. And I think, you know, in the Division 1, I believe they did that with some stuff. You had masks rather than backpack trophies. For me, backpack trophies are just pretty much pointless. So yeah, I think if they're not going to get rid of leagues, then they really need to just have a much better incentive. Any global event that makes us feel really powerful is always going to be good. Unlike something like, you know, Guardians event, which is still very, very bad, and it's just a real pain. In the Division 1, there were team modifiers, which is something I think the Division 2 needs for global events, and you were rewarded with masks in these events. I believe you got 3 masks per event. Some of the Division 2 needs, rather than just these backpack charms. Some of the ideas implemented for global events in the Division 2, they are better than the Division, but there just needs to be more of an incentive to play them. If Massive decided to have a huge shake-up of global events and leagues, I wouldn't be mad at that. If Massive decided we're going to get rid of global events, we're going to get rid of leagues, and we're going to do some entirely new set of activities, I'd be okay with that. Now, with each new season, we are currently getting 2 new vanity events, some I think needs to continue. I never thought I'd be the person excited for vanity events, but I do think they are a great addition to this game. However, just farming levels in order to get keys and open a cache, again, I feel like it's run its course a little, especially as we are farming the same open world missions or open world activities, whatever it might be, for the last 4 years. Sure, that might not be so bad with maybe a new location, although, as I said before, that's unlikely. But I'd like to see some well thought out challenges that rewarded players with exclusive vanity items during these events. Also, just again off script, thinking off the top of my head, I believe in the Division 1 we had community events and players were rewarded for that with vanity stuff. Wouldn't it be a good idea for them to have a community event during a vanity event and you got some exclusive rewards, or even outside of a vanity event? I think that would be really, really cool. Going back to the vanity events, I for one would be more inclined to interact with the vanity events if it had exclusive items. I do interact with them anyway. Generally speaking, I think most vanity events in this game are good. Some of them are poor, but most of them are really good and they are worth grinding for. It's just that I find the grind monotonous, boring, and I really want some other kind of stimulation leading up to getting that reward. My biggest problem with seasons in the Division 2 is they simply do not hold my attention anymore beyond the tidbits of story content with each new Manhunt Target and the apparel events. Everything else is, to me, is just boring. It's monotonous filler content that once felt new, but has definitely run its course. I'm quite possibly in the minority here because I still see veterans of this game enjoy each aspect of the seasons, and that includes leagues. And I wish that were me, but I'm really struggling to log in more than a couple of times a week right now because I'm simply bored as soon as I do. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Where do you sit with seasons in the Division 2? I'd be interested to see if I really am in the minority on this one. And look guys, it might just be a phase for me, but I really feel as though slowly over time I've been feeling this more and more. And knowing that for Season 11, for example, it's going to be the same stuff, then it doesn't excite me at all. Now, I have made a couple of recommendations on some things that I think Massive could do, but I really think Massive could do a lot more, and of course, they've probably got some ideas maybe floating around anyway. On the plus side, going back to what I said about Season 11, we are getting a new game mode for Season 11 called Descent. It's a roguelite and something we've never seen before. So that's actually something I'm really looking forward to. And I hope that comes out at the start of Season 11. Obviously, if Season 11, aside from that, is what we're just used to, then of course, when I do jump in, which I imagine will be often, as long as Descent is really good, I'll just be going straight to Descent and playing that game exclusively. That's pretty much what I did with Countdown. When that came out, I was playing that exclusively, and when I go on the game now, when I play Division 2 now, if I finished Manhunt or whatever, or I just want to play the game, then generally speaking, I either do control points, which has always been my favourite activity in the game, especially now that we can get exotic components from control points, or I go into Countdown. I'm not one of those people that's personally interested in, getting the most highest, best build in the game, or, I'm not a completionist by any means at all. I'm not trying to reach the highest level and all that sort of stuff. I just want to be stimulated, and I feel like the seasons at the moment are really lacking in that department. And it's mainly because we've been playing them for so long. They've been following the same kind of pattern for so long, and it's so predictable that there's nothing for me to be excited for, and I cannot be the only person that feels that way. I'm sure of it. But again, let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. I just think the seasons need a huge refresh, and I've got my fingers crossed that year 5 will deliver on that. That's it for today's video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this one. I may or may not be posting Modern Warfare 2 content, and I say that as I'm currently playing through the campaign, which I'm really enjoying. I used to, when I first started playing the Division 2, posting on YouTube, it was COD content, and I'm starting to get an itch for COD again. So I may or may not post that. You'll have to wait and see. Until the next video, guys, epic out.